Think about the last time you tripped in public, said something awkward in a meeting, or noticed a small stain on your shirt halfway through the day. In that moment, it probably felt like everyone around you noticed immediately, and that they were all still thinking about it hours later. But be honest with yourself right now. Can you actually remember what the person sitting next to you on the bus yesterday was wearing? Can you remember if they tripped, said something clumsy, or had a stain on their shirt? Probably not. Yet somehow you are still convinced that when it happens to you, everyone remembers every single detail. There is a reason your brain tricks you into feeling like the main character in a room, full of people who are actually barely paying attention to you at all, no matter how loudly your own embarrassment seems to be echoing inside your head, drowning out the simple fact that almost nobody else heard it at all. Psychologists call this the spotlight effect. It describes the tendency to overestimate how much other people actually notice your appearance, your mistakes, and your behavior. Your brain experiences the world entirely from your own point of view, every single second of every single day. Because you are always the center of your own attention, your brain quietly assumes you must also be the center of everyone else's attention. But everyone else is walking around with that exact same experience, fully absorbed in their own thoughts, their own problems, and their own imagined spotlight. In reality, nobody has enough spare mental attention left over to actually study you as closely as you assume they are, because they are all too busy starring in the exact same imaginary spotlight inside their own heads, one that feels just as real and important to them as yours currently feels to you. Researchers tested this directly with a simple but revealing experiment. A participant was asked to walk into a room full of strangers while wearing a shirt printed with a large, slightly embarrassing image. Before walking in, the participant guessed that roughly half the room would notice and remember the shirt. In reality, when the strangers were asked afterward, only a small fraction of them had noticed the shirt at all, and even fewer could accurately describe what was actually printed on it. The participant had been walking around convinced that everyone was staring, while almost the entire room had barely registered them as a person, let alone studied what they were wearing closely enough to judge it, since they were each far too preoccupied with their own thoughts to spare much attention for a stranger's outfit, exactly the way you would treat a stranger's shirt on any ordinary day. This effect quietly shapes far more decisions than most people realize. Someone avoids wearing an outfit they actually like because they imagine everyone judging it. Someone rehearses an apology for hours over a comment barely anyone else even remembered them making. Someone refuses to dance, sing, or speak up in public, convinced that every eye in the room is locked directly onto them, evaluating their every move. Public speakers often feel like the entire audience is analyzing their every stumble, while in reality, most people in that audience are quietly thinking about their own emails, their own weekend plans, or their own imagined spotlight, exactly like you would be doing if the roles were reversed, silently convinced that somebody else in that same room was the one truly being watched instead. The deeper problem is that this feeling almost never goes away just because you know the statistics. Knowing intellectually that most people are not watching, you does not automatically turn off the sensation of being watched, because the spotlight effect is not a belief you consciously chose to hold. It is a byproduct of simply existing inside your own head, where your own actions will always feel louder, bigger, and more memorable to you than they ever will to anyone standing outside of your perspective. Even people who fully understand this bias still catch themselves assuming a stranger. Notice their haircut, their stumble, or their nervous laugh because the feeling of being watched is built into how self-awareness actually works, quietly overriding the statistics no matter how many times someone reads about them, because feelings rarely listen to numbers, even numbers that are perfectly accurate. The most useful way to loosen this feeling is to remember one honest fact every time it shows up. Think about how quickly you personally forget other people's small mistakes, their awkward comments, or their slightly odd outfits. Whatever you forget about them within minutes is almost certainly what they forget about you within minutes too. The spotlight you feel burning on you right now is mostly imaginary, built entirely inside your own head, with an audience that is far too distracted by their own imaginary spotlight to actually be watching yours. If this video just made you feel a little less watched than you did 5 minutes ago, subscribe, because almost nobody is paying as much attention to you as you think they are. and they never really were. Even during the moments that felt the most impossible to forget.